It is happening yet again. Harry is in a position now where he is conflicted about his life with Meghan, not sure about moving forward with her. And I think he needed a motherly person, someone to give him some advice. Of course, he couldn't go to Doria, right? So it had to be someone that was there, that has known him for a long time, someone who he relies on, he respects their opinion. And that's exactly what happened. It's a telltale sign of someone who is trying to find answers to some very important decisions that he needs to make in life. And no doubt, this is exactly what it was. He was there trying to get some advice about some choices, decisions that he is going to have to make about his marriage to Meghan.
P. Dinah, what's going on with Prince Harry? Because this decision to go missing in Africa this week, from everything that I am researching about this and speaking to my contacts, makes it appear that this was not coincidental. This was a plan. He needed to escape. And of course, the Mail on Sunday are trying to paint this as like a really positive thing, that Harry just went off grid and he didn't have his phone on. And yes, sure, he didn't speak to Meghan or the kids, but that's fine because he was with his Southern African mom, Tanya TJ Jenkins. But my belief, P. Dinah, is actually there is something much darker and much deeper going on here. What have you learned?
Well, I do recall a time when Harry actually went to visit with her when he was dating Chelsea. And that was right when they had broken up. And I think there were some words of advice and wisdom given to him around that time that they were seeking, trying to figure out, should this relationship still go forward? And so it was definitely a turning point in Harry's life with his relationship with Chelsea. So I think it is happening yet again. Harry is in a position now where he is conflicted about his life with Meghan, not sure about moving forward with her. And I think he needed a motherly person, someone to give him some advice. Of course, he couldn't go to Doria, right? So it had to be someone that was there, that has known him for a long time, someone who he relies on, he respects their opinion. And that's exactly what happened. It's a telltale sign of someone who is trying to find answers to some very important decisions that he needs to make in life. And no doubt, this is exactly what it was. He was there trying to get some advice about some choices, decisions that he is going to have to make about his marriage to Meghan. That's the only reason why this man was gone for 3 days off the grid with this woman here. There's a reason, because if it wasn't that reason, he would have certainly brought Meghan and the children with him, and he didn't. So that's how you have to look at this situation.
Yeah, I think you do. And at the same time, lots of suggestions that Harry is also devastated that his threats, and let's just be honest, it has been a threat towards the royal family, I'm giving you all of this, haven't worked. Because King Charles at this point is still refusing this September meeting. That's not going to be good for his headspace, is it? If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Outspoken, please consider joining our thriving community over on Substack, www.outspoken.live. You can sign up completely for free, but Substack is so important to me. It is a free speech platform. It protects me from big tech cancellation. Plus, you get to communicate directly with me. Head on over www.outspoken.live, enter your email address, and sign up today.
Yeah, I think that is not good for Harry. Harry definitely needs to know that he's going to be able to meet with his father in September. There's a lot of unknowns. I think there's so much that he's trying to, this is what I believe personally, trying to rely on himself for. He's trying to break away from the decisions that he's usually made with Meghan, and he's trying to make more independent decisions. He doesn't know how. He has never been able to really do things on his own. We have to remember that the royal family was always there to make these important decisions for him. And now Harry has put himself in a situation where he is essentially alone on an island with a woman who he sees who is bringing him down. Although he may still feel something for her, he does find that he wants his life back. He's missing out on things that he can't have with Meghan in tow. And so he has to make some decisions outside of this relationship with Meghan. And so in order to make the right decision, he has gone to this woman who he feels can give him some clear insight on what he should do. And he's trying to find some answers, trying to get some resolve, because he just doesn't know how to do it on his own. And it makes so much sense that he has gone to see this woman. It tells us so much about what's going on with Harry right now in his relationship with Meghan. He needs that independence right now, because as a couple, he's losing on every end. This woman has brought him down. And whether you want to recognize it or not, or just say, well, I support my wife, deep down, alone at night, when you are with your own thoughts and that woman is off snoring away, whatever, you are thinking about everything you lost. And you're starting to reckon in your head and count all these things that you have lost. Where's your future? Where are you going? Where's your family? You literally have no future. You have no prospects for really earning money. You're not in a country that you really truly feel welcomed and like this is going to be your forever. You are so hopeless right now. And so Harry is, I think, trying to find this independence, trying to learn independence to get to these positions in life where you have to make tough choices and decisions. And that's what he is trying to do right now. So that's why he met with her. It makes so much sense to me, Dan.
Yeah, and Charlotte Griffiths, who is this new propagandist, is really talking up this September meeting, while at the same time, I think actually making it clear how cantankerous and difficult Harry remains, because she's actually rowing back on what she initially reported and saying, oh no, hang on a moment, Harry isn't now actually going to directly share his diary with Prince William. He's going to share it with Buckingham Palace, and then they might share it with Prince William. But trust me, that's not necessarily a fair way, because there can also be at times competition between Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace. But I think what it does show is that Harry's not even doing what she claimed he was going to do. Watch this.
Stuff deliberately, Harry and Meghan.
Yeah, I
you
think
see it all the time. You see Catherine doing something nice with the charity, and then Meghan will release some picture of her and Lilibet, on Instagram, completely over. It happens all the time, and it's not by chance at all. So basically, Harry is saying that I'll stop being a bugger and play ball.
Yeah, basically. And on the William thing, he's not going to give the grid, it's called, directly to William, but he's giving it to the King, to Buckingham Palace, to the King's aides, and then they are going to pass it down to William.
It always makes me laugh, Charlotte, how we talked last week or 2 weeks ago about how there was talks between the aides of King Charles and his son Harry. It always makes me laugh how you've got this family, you've got the father, you've got a couple of brothers and whatever else. You always have to go through the aides and the schedulers and the diarists and stuff, just like your family members. Just pick up the phone and say, hey, I'll give you my diary if you want. Let's share it on the iPhone or something.
Yeah, that would involve a conversation between Harry and his father doesn't trust his son enough to have a direct conversation.
So if that's the case, so if the king can't even trust his own son to have a conversation, how on earth and how the hell are they going to be reconciling?
Well, they're building up to that. They are building up to that. At the moment, the security issue is still up in the air, and that's the big thing that Charles can't talk to his son about. He's worried that if he just picks up the phone and has a little chat, Harry will start going, and what about my security? And that's actually, it's got legal implications. So, but that's why I'm told it's a glacial pace that they're building up to actually seeing each other face to face. Glacial. Because, Harry's hoping for September. He's coming over to the UK in September. He's hoping to meet his dad there, but there's no chance. They need more time, and that's classic Buckingham Palace. They move so slowly, and as you say, everything's so formal, it has to go through aides. So I think they'll probably meet maybe by Christmas, more likely next year.
Will Meghan be there?
No.
No. Is that one of the conditions, you think? Meghan stays away?
I don't know if it's a condition. I think it's an implicit condition, not an explicit condition.
So do you see what I mean, P. Dinah? So already she's pushing this meeting. I mean, she's absolutely insistent, because it's almost like, let's talk it into existence. And you've seen what's happened with, the Telegraph putting all of this pressure on via Eleanor Mills, etc., etc. But at the same time, she's saying, oh, well, no, he's not actually going to share the diary with Prince William. It's like, this idea that Harry has changed is for the bloody birds. He still wants an apology. He still believes he's the victim. He's still intransigent about the fact that he took legal action against his own father's government regarding security. He still will not have his children in the country because of security. He still believes that he's unsafe, even though, by the way, P. Dinah, he'll go off grid for 3 days in Botswana with no phone connection whatsoever. Oh, and he'll trawl up and down a street in lawless London with no one doing God knows what at God knows what time. Imagine trying to justify all of that to bring Harry back in. Why?
Right. Harry is just a spoiled, rotten man-child. That's what he is. He thinks that he can just take some little steps and get favor again. No, he really does. Like I said before, he needs to be completely broken. There is absolutely no way that Harry is going to get back into the good graces of the royal family. It should definitely not happen. Harry is just expecting certain things because that's his mindset. And I think part of the fact that he actually went to see this lady, TJ, shows us that, the royal family is just not making making themselves available. So he had to find another route. So I think they need to keep holding out, because the longer they hold out, the more broken this man will become. It's like what they do to people in the military, right? When you first come in, your expectations are, you think you're going to do what you want to do, but they break you down so much to where you are so broken and helpless that you eventually you're rebuilt up to how they want you to be. And I think that's similar to what has to happen with Harry. He has to really find a place mentally, physically, whatever that means, with not having money, to where he feels like he has reached the very bottom of his life. And that is where he needs to go. And until that happens, I don't think that the royal family could ever trust Harry ever again. He hasn't done anything that makes it seem like he really is sorry for what he has done. I think he's still showing entitlement. He is still showing that he expects to get what he wants. Here's my diary. And trying to say maybe in September, it's like he's almost trying to set the tone the way Meghan would do. Like, she would just say certain things that weren't confirmed, so that people hear her say certain things, and then makes the other person feel like they have to react now because Meghan has already put it out there. And I think that's a tactic that he may have learned from Meghan. So Harry, no, you can't trust this man yet. I think there's still a ways for him to go in terms of how he is doing in his life. This is just the beginning of your hardships, Harry. Okay.
Yeah, my personal view is you can never trust him again, actually. And I think that's where Prince William is at. And I think Prince William is absolutely right. Can I also just ask Pidana, what does he even bring to the royal family now?
Right.
He is an aging spare. And he is a failed aging spare who has proven that he doesn't care about king nor country. And when Queen Elizabeth II was alive, he did not care about queen nor country. And look, I would never fall out with my family, right? That's my own personal experience. But I also know my family would never, ever turn on me publicly, ever. It just is not what would happen. And so I do understand where William is coming from. I really do. And I'm just so sick of this constant attempt to change the narrative, actually from journalists who should know better. And I really do believe, P. Dinah, it is because they want there to be another part of this story. And that's not how life should work. There doesn't have to be another chapter to this story. There wasn't another chapter to the Duke of Windsor after his abdication and Wallis Simpson. Yeah. No, they went off and they lived a disgraced life as Nazi sympathizing grifters who had put their own sick pursuits in front of what was right for the monarchy. And they aged pretty terribly and they were deeply unhappy. Fine.
Yeah.
Go and do that. This idea that there has to be reconciliation. Was anyone saying to the Queen Mother or the late Queen Elizabeth II, if you don't take the Duke of Windsor and Wallis Simpson back, you're bad people? No. How will history judge what they did? They did what was right for the monarchy. And they were so personally betrayed by the actions of the Duke of Windsor and Wallis Simpson that actually it was better to keep them out. It was better for the monarchy to keep them out. Imagine if they'd brought them back into the fold, P. Dinah, and now, all of these years later, we were looking back and thinking, holy shit, there were Nazi sympathizers. There were Adolf Hitler's mates operating within the British royal family. I'm sorry, I don't want Harry and Meghan back. I think they are traitors on the same level, actually, as Wallis Simpson and the Duke of Windsor, who were Nazi sympathizers. And I'll tell you why. Because they tried to bring down the British monarchy, and they tried to bring down the British monarchy with lies. And I'm just so sick of the media just forgetting that, because they want another chapter. They want a new drama. They want Harry and Meghan to return. They want the awkward pictures, etc., etc. Sometimes don't you just have to do what's right? There is a whole other generation of the royal family coming through. P. Dinah, I think we have a very strong heir to the throne. He has a very lovely family. Yes, they're young, but, give George and Charlotte and Louis another decade, and then they will slowly take on royal duties in the same way that William himself did. Like, we don't need them. We don't need their drama. We don't need their shit. They would only bring negativity to the royal family. So as I say, my own personal experience is, I'd never fall out with my family members, but stop like people like Eleanor Mills, who wrote this column for the Daily Telegraph this week, judging King Charles and ridiculously saying that his entire reign will be determined on whether Harry returns. I'm sorry, that's not having a real perspective. Sometimes people's behavior is so bad, P. Diner, even if they are your flesh and blood, that actually you just make a decision. And I know there'll be lots of people listening who say, yep, I don't speak to my brother. It's very, very sad, but this happened in our life and that was my red line moment. And Charles and William had those red line moments. So as you can probably tell, I'm so fed up because actually it's like, do we want to have, it's what Gad Saad describes as suicidal empathy, right? Like bringing Prince Harry and Meghan Markle back into the royal family. The people who are advocating for that, P. Diner, trust me, they want the royal family to fall because you would never want to bring them back in if you really believed in the monarchy. Do you see what I mean? But first, in today's digital world, your online freedom and safety have never been more under threat, whether it's state overreach, tracking by big tech, or cyber criminals lurking on public Wi-Fi. Indeed, in the UK, just this week, we've now seen many popular sites and important content, even my news reporting here on Outspoken, even important speeches in the House of Commons, censored entirely because of the government's so-called new Online Safety Act. You will have heard, I'm sure, in this discussion, lots of people saying you need to get a VPN to protect yourself and still access all your favorite content. Well, guess what? I have the perfect solution. It's Surfshark, by far the world's best VPN that protects your identity and secures your data. But the great thing is Surfshark is actually so much more than a VPN, and you can go to surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark to secure your data, protect your freedom, and support Outspoken at the same time. Now look at this. Surfshark's Clean Web feature blocks ads, trackers, malware, and phishing links so you can browse safely without being spied on. And it makes the experience so much easier and more pleasant too. Need to access certain apps or websites without VPN interference, like your banking app, for example? Well, Surfshark's bypasser feature handles that with ease. And if your VPN connection ever drops, Surfshark's kill switch immediately disconnects your device from the internet, keeping your data safe at all times. Plus, with dynamic multi-hop, you can route your connection through 2 different countries at once, doubling your encryption and making tracking nearly impossible. This also means you can freely switch beyond your favorite country lock shows with the click of a button. So you can be watching effectively your favorite TV shows or sport from anywhere in the world, wherever you are. There are other benefits of Surfshark too. You can use it on unlimited devices, meaning your entire household can stay safe with just one subscription. And with over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries, there is a world of choice at your fingertips. And I know for lots of you, this will be your first time using a VPN, but the great news is that Surfshark offers you 24/7 customer service. So go to surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark. And what's more, this is really important. Surfshark is so confident it's the best VPN in the world. Trust me, it is. I use it every single day, that you can give it a try for a full 30 days. And if you're not entirely satisfied, you will get your money back. So go to surfshark.com/outspoken or use the code outspoken at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. But now back to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I'm not saying that Harry should come back into the royal family. Absolutely not. My whole thing is much later down the line when he is completely broken from his, because he hasn't really had enough trauma from what his choices have been to really warrant any kind of forgiveness right now. But at some point, maybe being able to talk to him, but not really completely trust him, but never ever coming back into the fold of royalty. I do not think that would be a good idea at all. No, I just think, yeah, he has crossed a line, and it's at this point now he can never come back. This is his legacy. And like you mentioned, there are children now that are coming up that are going to be the new up and coming royals that people are going to be really following, and they're going to be the legacy of, the monarchy moving forward. And Harry is just his whole profile, everything that he has done has already been written. There's nothing more that is going to happen that's going to change your legacy, Harry. You've written that when you went to go speak with Oprah, when you wrote your book Spare. That's it. It's done for you. There's no more opportunity for you. At this point, the only opportunity that you have is to maybe speak to your family with the arm's length. You don't really get those up close and personal relationships like you used to. And I think that would come later to even speaking with his family. But absolutely not. There should be no way back into the royal fold whatsoever, because that would bring down the monarchy, I think, because there are a lot of people who are very opposed to it that will not tolerate this couple anywhere near the monarchy. And so they have to preserve that. The late queen did that. And I think that's what needs to happen now. She gave the model on how you treat someone who goes against the family, who does things so egregious to besmirch the name of the royal family that you have to treat them a certain way. And his legacy is written. You're going to be exiled exactly the way the King Edward, the late King Edward was the eighth, and Wallace Simpson. That is where what you have to look forward to. That is your future. Okay.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Totally. Pete Diner, can you tell me what's really going on? Because I know you obviously know California, you know Hollywood. What's going on with all of this new briefing in regards to the Netflix deal? Because why, after everyone has confirmed this, are the propagandists, and again, it's Charlotte Griffiths, who's of course getting all of the, she's getting all of the leaks. They're saying, oh, actually, no, there is going to be a new deal. I mean, what's really going on here?
Well, when I first saw that, I thought, well, maybe she is really trying to promise something that she couldn't promise with Harry. That made Netflix maybe want to perk up and listen to something like that. But then, there are talks of that they're just saying that is not true. Netflix doesn't want anything to do with them. As a matter of fact, Paramount has also denied anything with Meghan moving forward. So I think at this point, if she were to have some talks with Netflix, it would be very hurtful for Harry and his family. But at the same time, I think more than likely Netflix is really done with Meghan. They don't, because think about it, if they were really going to still do something with Meghan, they could have still done it with the current deal that they have, because that's what they were doing. Harry did his thing, Meghan did hers. There's no real difference. And so I just think that there's more than likely not something there for Meghan. She's saying it to save face. She's saying it so that she doesn't look like she's lost everything, because she hasn't posted recently on her Instagram. I mean, she's very quiet right now. I think she's just scrambling, trying to find somebody who is going to say yes to her. And, once you go down with like a big, streaming agent as Netflix, I think it's going to be very difficult for you to really try to get much bigger than that in terms of deals. I think she's just trying to make it look like it's still good, but it's really not. No. What does she have to offer?
It's really not, because as you say, and as she admitted, this is the really embarrassing thing, is she admitted to Tina Knowles in that podcast interview, the last interview probably she'll ever do for Confessions of a Female Founder, because it was just another disaster, another podcast disaster. But as she admitted in this interview, running a business that is just like this, one day there's something for sale, one day there's not. It's just embarrassing. This is not a way that any functioning business operates. But again, the PR spin has been released this week to Newsweek magazine. Royally Sage picked up on this. I found it hilarious. Meghan Markle's As Ever shop could have made $4.5 million in a week. And as Royally Sage pointed out, load of crap, which we all knew. This is hardcore spin because someone is desperate to find a buyer for their business. And that's completely true, Pete Diner, because number one, we know there's no capital in this business. As Tom Bauer pointed out, the reason why they can't really ramp up the distribution is she doesn't have the money. She doesn't have the backing to do it. Netflix isn't really prepared to do what she needs to do in order to make this a mass market business. She decided to go for the lower price points to feel accessible. So the whole thing is disaster. And why would you want to buy into As Ever? She should have focused, Pete. And this is where I'm like, honestly, I'm no business brain, right? But it's so obvious. She should have just focused on one product. One product. Okay, if you're going to do your scam jam, then do your scam jam. But she's doing everything badly now. She's not distributing anything. And the problem with supply and demand, right, is you have to have the supply available to meet the demand or the business falls apart. And by trying to ramp up lots of different products at one time is ludicrous. I mean, look, I think the edible flowers are the most disgusting thing I've ever seen, right? I've always hated edible flowers on my food. You put flowers on my salad, I ain't eating it. Sorry, I'm a traditionalist. Just like I say to my mum, do not put apple in my coleslaw. Okay, I'm just not a believer in that. I'm not a believer in that.
Okay.
But at least it was a thing, right? Like, just focus on the damn edible flowers. The whole business proposition is just a mess.
Yeah, she's just too ambitious for herself, right? She's just trying too hard. She feels like she has to have her hands in so many different things because she's not focused on something that she feels passionate about. And I think to hold her interest, she has to go on to different things just to keep herself involved, engaged in what it is that she's trying to do. There's no real true passion. There's no real commitment to, well, if this fails, then I'll try something else. I think she's just trying to, it's for her own selfish, narcissistic reasons. She's trying to make herself look like she's successful and to look pretty and to just look like things are going so well, you know. And I think it's not really about the products. It's not really about what she's trying to make it about. It's just very self-serving, everything that she's doing. That's why it doesn't feel authentic. It feels very flat and disingenuous. And Meghan, I think, is just trying to make herself appear as if she is successful and life is going well for her in California. But it's really not. I think she had hoped for so much more, and this was a last resort for her. I think she wanted to do some other things around producing, and she just didn't get the people behind her to allow that to move forward, and they just didn't like her ideas, you know. And this was just something that she thought she could do because she'd already done the TIG, and it just was the most comfortable thing for her to do, and it's just not really there for her to make a lot of money. She doesn't have the name recognition in terms of people wanting to be attached to the name of Meghan Markle. People know her, but do we want to attach ourselves by paying money towards her brand? She doesn't have that. So she's just in a position now where Netflix really sees that people are not going to drop any dollars to be close to this known woman. They're not going to attach themselves financially and try to, I guess, have something that she's making, you know. And that's where Netflix, I think, thought that they were going to have that. I think that's what Meghan may have sold them by all the stories that are written about her and all the people that talk about her, but it just doesn't translate into selling the jam. And that's where I think they're starting to recognize, yeah, this is not a woman that can make us money. Okay. So that this is why I think Meghan is just going to continue to fail with everything that she is doing. She doesn't have a real true passion or calling for anything that's going to help her.
No, she doesn't. We know
Yeah.
what her passion is for. Herself. That's it. And,
Yeah.
and you know,
Yeah.
she loves herself. You know, that's
And
it.
using people.
Yeah.
Yeah, using people. Mhm.
Do you know Richard Eden from Daily Mail did get his hands on As Ever? And I do have to say, P. Diner, it's been my favourite taste test so far. He came up with a very good line. Watch this.
I managed to get my hands on a bottle of Meghan's As Ever rosé wine, and I'm going to try it for you now. Oh, it's sort of sweet at first, and then it leaves this sort of, it's like sort of bitter, metallic aftertaste. It's a bit like Meghan herself, really.
I did think that was a good line, P. Diner. I think it thought about it, but it's true, isn't it?
It really
A
is.
very
And I
bitter
think people are
aftertaste for us
just,
all.
I mean, Meghan, she gives us all a certain kind of taste in our mouth, right? I think just by
Not a good
what she
one.
does. And I think that just intensified it, you know, tasting the wine. But yeah, you know, that's pretty authentic to how I think a lot of people feel about her.
Yes, indeed, P. Diner. Yeah, you're brilliant. And of course, for much more of this analysis, do make sure you sign up to P. Diner's excellent YouTube channel. She will be back with us here on Outspoken next week, though. Thank you so much. And of course, if you do want first access to our Royal Uncancelled After Show, if you do want to support us here on Outspoken, then please do sign up to my Substack, www.outspoken.com.